You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm Jason.
This is Danny.
And we have a fun-filled show for you today where we'll start with our thoughts on the NBA season thus far. And then we'll go into a little bit more in particular about our Milwaukee Bucks. And then we have a great trading card scenario for you on the show. So, Danny, what are your thoughts on the NBA season so far?
With the season so far, a couple surprises are the Lakers being 7-1. I thought they would struggle a little bit more, working together. Rondo's out. Kuzma just came back. But so far, they've looked really good. So that's been a surprise to me. One team that has been playing, and we kind of talked about this in the last podcast, that's been playing really well are the Miami Heat. I know they lost last night to the Lakers, but they're playing really well. And all the role players like Nunn, Derrick Jones Jr., Miles Leonard, Hero, being a rookie, and now Jimmy Butler's back. They're playing really well. We also have the Celtics, who look pretty good so far with Kemba getting him involved. A couple teams of note that aren't doing so hot are the Nets. At the beginning of the season, the whole Kyrie and how is he feeling mentally and getting with the team. And I think that's one of the teams I was worried about putting up in that top four just due to how Kyrie would play with that team, knowing they're similar to Boston. Those are a couple initial thoughts. We can go deeper, Jason, but I'll give you the opportunity to go ahead and speak on a couple teams yourself.
Yeah, I have to, just piggyback off of what you said about the Lake Show here. Their defensive rating is top notch in the league right now. I remember watching one of the games, and they highlighted LeBron actually playing some hellified defense, closing in on the three-point shots, things of that nature. And listen, LeBron is a phenomenal athlete. You know this, man. My all-time favorite basketball player is Magic Johnson. But what LeBron is doing right now is familiar to what Magic has done. I mean, just the way he's passing the ball, the way he's doing the assists, the pick and roll action between him and AD is absolutely phenomenal. Something that is familiar to that of Magic and Kareem.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so, granted, Kareem ultimately had a sky hook and everything, but the point is, I mean, the passes that LeBron is doing and his emphasis on getting people involved and he's playing defense. I think by him not actually playing the entire season last year has done wonders for his body. And then, by the way, all of the shade that was thrown his way throughout the course of time that he was out last year, I think he's on a mission. So I think the surprise is the defense that LeBron specifically is playing, in my opinion. Frank Vogel, former Pacers coach and Orlando Magic's coach, he prided himself on defense. Defensive strategy that the Lakers have right now is very familiar to that of what we've seen with Frank Vogel with the Pacers and all. So I have to give the Lake Show some kudos and some props there. I would say the other surprise, the Miami Heat. I have to agree with you, man. I did not see this coming from the Miami Heat. You called it in one of our previous podcasts, our prediction podcast. You called it. I wasn't looking at no Miami Heat. I just thought it's going to be, truly a gritty team coming on the backside of, the seedings, but lo and behold, here they are at the forefront. So I have to agree with you on the Miami Heat. Phoenix Suns, you called this as well, man. And I got to give you prop. Phoenix Suns, man, they actually look really good. When they get Ayton back and everything, I think they're going to really surprise a lot of teams, and coaching matters. Coaching matters big time. So luckily I have an app that allows me to watch multiple games, watch basically League Pass, and I'm able to watch, multiple games throughout the course of the week. I've actually tuned into the Phoenix Suns, and I'm pleasantly surprised at how entertaining that they actually are. So yeah, watch out for the Phoenix Suns. I agree with you on that. So those would be my initial thoughts on the surprises of the NBA season thus far.
One other one I wanted to mention too that's shocking to me right now are the Portland Trailblazers. Right now, they're at the bottom of the conference, but I'm assuming they'll turn it around. It's only 9. We're only 9-10 games in. But just seeing them at the bottom of the conference is shocking to me. We'll see. Give them some time. It's going to be close all the way through, but you don't want to dig yourself too deep of a hole starting at the bottom of like this. The Rockets were able to do it last year where they started off slow and turned it around, and obviously we saw what they did. But
yeah, that's true.
Trailblazers, one of the teams I thought would be top 4 for sure.
And I would say to add on to the Blazers, listen, Dame Dollar just had 62 the other night in the loss. That was actually last night. I don't know, man. I think it may be time for them to look into trading McCollum. They need another piece, man. I mean, there's just something not right. Yes, we're early. At the same token, I mean, their team hasn't changed a whole lot. I mean,
maybe it's Whiteside that's bringing them down.
I was going to say the only thing they really added was Whiteside. And he's on a contract year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that I put it like this. They're 9 games in. The thought is that for those teams that basically had a team from last year that hasn't changed, you should really be getting these wins now before everybody else catches up. Because once everybody catches up, then that's when, the playing field is going to be really leveled at that point in time. So what's not leveled are those veteran teams that have been together for a good portion of time.
Mm-hmm.
Get your wins now because they may not be there later on in the season. That's why I'm thinking I think they may be in trouble to a point where I could see a major trade happening before the trade deadline. I don't know. Something's going to have to happen with the Blazers. I just don't see them. Yes, they went to the conference finals against the Warriors last year. But at this rate, like you said, they're at the bottom of the conference. So they're going to have to make some kind of changes there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Something doesn't smell right there. We'll see.
Yep. So now let's go to the next segment here, and let's specifically talk about our Milwaukee Bucks. And where, as of right now, we're 9 games in. They are 6-3, and where they have played 6 games on the road. They are, again, 6-3 with obviously new pieces that they're trying to make sure that they're functioning right. They're trying to incorporate same philosophy, same offensive philosophy, same defensive philosophy from what I have seen so far. Let it fly. That has been the philosophy. But it's just, I don't know, man. It just feels and it seems like there's something missing from the Bucks. I don't know if it's just the fact that Brodgon is no longer there. It seems like we have a rotation between Wesley Matthews, Dante DiVincenzo, Sterling Brown at times, Pat Connaughton at times, trying to fill the void of not having Brodgon there. Those individuals are all 6'4", 6'5". Brodgon was a 6'5" guard with handles. And it just seems, it feels like something is missing from the Milwaukee Bucks. What are your thoughts, Danny?
Yeah, I think so too. But if you look at last year and this year, there are a lot of similarities where they get up on teams and then they, for whatever reason, let their foot off the gas and let these teams come back and beat them. Because honestly, they should only have one loss, and that was the loss last night to Utah. But they should have beat Boston, and they should have beat the Heat
Agreed.
a couple weeks ago when they're destroying them, and all of a sudden you turn around and they're in overtime. But a lot of things that I think are problem areas for them right now from last year as well is free throw shooting.
Yep.
Silly mistakes. One was broadcasted all over the internet with Bledsoe. But I'm not.
Bledsoe, what you doing, Bledsoe?
For those who did not see the play, the referee handed Bledsoe the ball to inbound the ball, and he just took it and started dribbling in. Obviously, that's a turnover. Stuff like that where sometimes you wonder, are they bored already at times because they're blowing some of these teams out, where they get complacent. And they had this last year where they had some of those games where it's like, how'd you lose to them? You were up 20 at half. That, and then just the rotation too, where some of the younger players aren't playing as much. So I don't know if Coach Bud's trying to have Wesley Matthews, Robin Lopez get more minutes just to get acclimated, and then he's going to switch something in December timeframe. But I think some of the younger players, like a DJ Wilson, which you'll probably hit on, they need more minutes. And Giannis needs rest. So he needs to also balance that as well because he played over the summer along with Middleton.
Yeah, and just let's look at it here. So Chris Middleton right now, he's averaging 19.4 points a game. Last year, averaged 18.3 points a game. So he's a point higher there. And looking at his minutes on average, I mean, it's pretty much the same. This year so far, 31.7 minutes per game. Last year, 31.1 minutes per game. The thing that I really find interesting, though, is that when he came off of the torn hamstring injury back in 2016, in 2017, he actually played 36.4 minutes per game and averaged 20.1 points a game. And so he is averaging 5 minutes less over the past 2 years than when he was coming off of the torn hamstring. I don't know. I'm thinking that Chris may need at least a couple more minutes there just to kind of get some consistency. At the same token, if he gets a couple more minutes, that may take minutes away from DiVincenzo, may take minutes away from Sterling Brown, or I don't know. I just think that we're 9 games in. I think Coach Bud is going to make some adjustments to just kind of seeing how things really kind of play out here. Let's go to Wesley Matthews, who's a starter here. I mean, 9 games in, obviously. He's averaging 23.3 minutes per game, averaging 6.4 points a game. So, and last year with the Pacers, he played 31 minutes a game. So that's, 8 minutes less this year than the previous year. So I think it's a matter of trying to fit in Wesley Matthews into the whole scheme of things here. And then adding the likes of DiVincenzo and also Pat Connaughton, who I did mention. Pat Connaughton is averaging 4 minutes less this year than he did last year. I think they're trying to figure it out.
Yep.
I really do. At the same token, Coach Bud, listen, and I said this in another podcast, I think one of the biggest mistakes in that Eastern Conference Finals last year was not playing DJ Wilson at all. I really believe that DJ Wilson is the most athletic big that we have, other than obviously Giannis and all. But when you think about athletic bigs on our teams, I mean, on our team, Brook Lopez, huge individual, 7 foot, not as athletic as DJ Wilson. Robin Lopez, his brother, not as athletic as DJ Wilson.
Agree with that.
So we need an athletic big. We haven't even played Bender this year yet in the regular season at all. I just seen him in the street clothes on the bench. Not 1 minute had been played by Bender this year. And what he showcased in the preseason, I mean, it was him shooting threes like your boy Stay Ready used to, and all, who's now the Detroit Pistons. Yes, Thon Maker. But I just think that Coach Bud is making a mistake by not playing DJ Wilson enough. Now, last night, surprisingly enough, in the first half against the Utah Jazz, Coach Bud did put in DJ Wilson. He put in Sterling Brown and DiVincenzo all at once in the very beginning of the first half, in where I think he was trying to find a little spark there, because the first half, the Bucks just looked absolutely terrible. I saw no sets from a 2-point strategy standpoint. I saw nothing but them letting it fly, and to me, that's kind of a lazy effort at that. Second half was a little bit more energy. They made the run, came up short, obviously, but I don't know. I think Coach Bud is trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and Utah's a house of horrors for the Bucks anyway. It's either Phoenix and Utah. You might as well chalk up an L. I don't know what it is with those two cities, but they just don't do well there.
Not at all. Not at all. And then Sterling Brown, I mean, this year so far, I mean, he is averaging 6 minutes less than last year, averaging 4.5 points a game this year. So I don't know. I think they're trying to figure out who's going to be the combination that really matches up or fulfills the void left by Brogdon. Is it going to be a 2-person tag team or is it going to be a 3-person tag team? But nonetheless, the minutes are going to be spread out there. I don't know. I just think that when we really think about what the Bucks did in terms of letting Brogdon go, ultimately it was because of the upcoming Supermax extension to Giannis. They had to let the money go. They didn't want to get into the penalty there, the luxury tax penalty. So they had to go ahead and let Brogdon go. But, man, we are just missing a lot right now out of Brogdon.
Yes, and it could also be something behind the scenes from a leadership standpoint as well, where he did things that we didn't see that may have gotten the team in line. I don't know. It's just his demeanor too, where he's just so calm that it seemed from an outsider's perspective that everything was always under control. And not to say they weren't doing some of the things they're doing now last year, but they didn't have to worry about that. Now they're trying to fill guys in and try to figure that out. And I think by the first quarter of the season, they'll be fine, but it's going to take some stabilization.
Yeah, and, here's the interesting thing. I want to get your thoughts on this, Danny. You have Coach Bud, who came out of the Spurs organization, Coach Popovich, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all know the story about Kawhi. When Kawhi left the Spurs, went to Toronto, he did his thing in Toronto, in where he was no longer in the system, the San Antonio system. Kawhi was able to showcase more what skills he had.
Yep.
It seems familiar to what Brogdon is doing now with the Pacers. Here you have the Bucks in their system, right?
Yep.
Brogdon is no longer in that system, and he's doing some big things with the Indiana Pacers.
Yes, he is.
So is it a system? Is it a system thing? Which makes me wonder. Okay, DiVincenzo, Connaughton, Wesley Matthews, Sterling Brown. Since you're in the system, you're restricted. But if you were to leave, how good of a player will you be, or will you become? Yeah. I mean, because looking at Brogdon, man, I heard last night while I was flipping through the channels, going in between different games. You know what one of the commentators said from the Pacers?
What's that?
They said, listen, we have Brogdon. The Bucks gave up a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks. The Pacers gave up a first-rounder and 2 second-round picks to get Brogdon. They said that was a steal, that we could have got more in that deal. Because what Brogdon is doing right now is absolutely phenomenal for the Pacers. Now, I think our concern was the fact that Brogdon would get injured.
Yep.
We were afraid of that, but to go back to the Supermax deal to Giannis, I mean, we had to let somebody go. So
I think the other thing too, man, a lot of these games that they've lost, not only the team chemistry and continuity, it's these free throws. So a lot of those games they lost, they hit some free throws, they win. So sometimes to your point, it's the system and restricting players where they can't necessarily get off the way they should be able to due to Coach Bud and what he's doing. Some of it's just fundamentals where you knock down some free throws, you knock down some of these shots you should be making from a professional standpoint, you win these games no matter what.
Do you feel that we need to make a trade?
I don't think so right now. If they start incorporating other players, then you kind of see what you have. Because if DJ Wilson starts getting minutes and some of these other younger players get minutes, I don't think they need to jump the gun yet. Who would you trade? Is it Bledsoe?
Well, here's the thing. I was going to ask you this too. What do you feel is the value of Ilyasova?
He's one of those glue guys. I know he isn't doing a ton yet, but he's not making a ton of money.
I don't know. Ilyasova, I want to say he's making about $7 million a year.
He's making $7 million, but in NBA contract terms, it's not a ton.
Not a ton. Averaging 6.2 a game.
Yeah, and he's one of those dudes that he does things that don't show up in the stat sheet with the charges and
all.
Help defense and things. So I have no issue with Ilyasova. I know he does some things that make you scratch your head sometimes when you're watching the game, but he's somebody though that I think will be key for them in a run because he can hit the 3-pointer.
Well, I don't know now to that point. I'm looking here. Ilyasova's only averaging, well, let me put it like this, 27.6% from 3-point line.
He's cold right now. He's cold right now. So you gotta give Ilyasova some time to warm up and he'll be all right.
All right. I'm just thinking, listen, here are my thoughts on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we can honestly trade Ilyasova, and that's where put in DJ Wilson. I think that's where he would go.
Or you start limiting Robin Lopez's minutes because he gets a decent amount of minutes so far.
Yeah. I think that would be a route to go because when you look at our length.
Yep.
I mean, Ilyasova is 6'9". I mean, and then we would replace him with DJ, who right now is listed at 6'10".
Yep.
So, and can just as easily shoot a 3
and play good defense
and is athletic.
Yep.
That's where I think if we were to make a trade, I think we would make a trade there, package him up with him, and also, gosh, I want to keep Connaughton. I like DiVincenzo. Sterling Brown may be that one who I like Sterling Brown too, though, man. I mean,
it's gonna be tough to do it, man. Right now, I just think unless something dramatic happens, if they're winning 60 to 70% of their games, they're not doing anything. It's a long season. I agree. Ilyasova could be the one that they could move, but what are they gonna get back? A second round pick, but which may be the thing they need to do. Based on what you're saying. So we'll see if Coach Bud changes his ways because a few people have mentioned that on the radio as well about his rotation.
Yeah, rotation.
That's something we observe too, where it's like, where are the young guys at?
Yeah, exactly. And I have to say this, Kyle Korver, he can shoot lights out, but you know what? His defense is horrid. There's a few times where I was like, man, where the hell is the defense on this? Oh, there's Kyle Korver. Just let him go.
They didn't bring him here to be a lockdown defender. I'll tell you that. he's just they need that dead eye shooter from the 3-point range, and
we sacrificed that defense, boy, because. But Kyle Korver was 37 years old and
38.
38, and so that in NBA terms, that is old. We'll see what happens with these Bucks. I believe there's going to have to be a trade made by the trade deadline to get another piece. What that piece is, I don't know.
And they're not afraid to do that.
No, definitely not afraid to do that. Definitely not afraid to do that. I don't see them getting Chris Paul, CP3. I don't see that. I know Chris Paul has indicated he did want to come to the Bucks. I don't see that happening because his contract is outrageous. and we are trying to sign Giannis to that supermax. So I don't know. I would say this too. We got to talk about Giannis here. Here's my opinion so far. Giannis is doing his thing. I think the ball is in his hands too much. I think he's bringing the ball up way too much. What's lacking, and what I noticed even in last night's game against Utah, it just wasn't enough sets for me to get 2-pointers. It just wasn't. To me,
no ball movement at all.
No ball movement. To me, put the ball in the hands of Bledsoe, George Hill, who's been phenomenal for us, man.
Yes, he has.
Oh man, he's been great. But put the ball in the hands of Bledsoe or DiVincenzo or Chris Middleton. Run some sets, some action for Giannis. Get Giannis to do some mid-range jumpers, even though last night he hit a couple of threes. But get him to the point of doing some mid-range jumpers. And I think that will open things up even more. And then give Giannis the chance to settle down and relax a little bit, not put so much focus in on him, because otherwise he's just going to wear down. I think they need to make some adjustments from that standpoint too. I noticed last year Giannis started off the ball in his hands. Then they started running some more action. I think that's going to happen again this year. I hope that's going to happen again this year. But that's another thing that I noticed on top of Giannis just missing free throws.
Yep. And I think to your point, him taking that when he gets banged around and then he gets later in the games, his free throws don't go because he has no legs.
He has no legs.
And they're going to be hacking the heck out of him too, knowing he is not going to make but 50% of the free throws most times in the fourth quarter, it seems like.
Right.
Obviously, he shoots a better percentage than that, but that's what it feels when he gets up there. You're like, at least hit one. So that's where I agree. I think he needs that mid-range game where he's not taking a pounding down low because, teams are going at him, trying to doing hack-a-shack kind of thing.
Yep. Agreed there. Well, on to the next segment where the trading card scenario. Danny, go ahead and introduce the trading card scenario here.
For this show, our trading card scenario is, speaking of Giannis, a Giannis rookie card for Kevin Garnett, his rookie card. And we're looking at it. I'm looking at this trade scenario from current value, knowing what KG did over his 21-year career and what Giannis has done through his first 7 years. You have the rookie cards. Who do you want to trade for in that scenario?
So let's see here. KG came right into the NBA straight from high school.
Yes.
Giannis obviously was in Greece, played pro, drafted by the Bucks. KG had a lethal 15-footer on the side, on the wing there. And they always picked and rolled or picked and popped in that area. And that's what I was hoping Giannis could develop at this point in time. That's where Coach Bud needs to come into play there, but I digress. Man, Giannis is just so dominant on the inside, man. Mm-hmm. Will Giannis let me ask you this. Will Giannis go 21 years?
But he has to develop that outside game. And for those who do not know, Kevin Garnett did work with Giannis when Jason Kidd was the coach. You notice Giannis had that little meme.
He also worked with Stay Ready, where Stay Ready got traded to the Pistons. For those who don't know, Stay Ready, Thon Maker was Danny's favorite, but I digress.
I think he can have some longevity, but he has to develop the game outside so he's not taking the pounding. Developing a fadeaway jumper, developing that pull-up jumper, that free throw line extended.
Both are league MVPs.
Yes. Some stats for Kevin Garnett. He made 15 All-Star games in his career. He was the league MVP once. He made All-NBA 9 times. All-Defensive Team 9 times. Defensive Player of the Year once. And he led the league in rebounding 4 times.
Wow. That is
Just a quick bio on Kevin Garnett, 2010 and 5. That's how he got down back in the day.
And then we have, of course, Giannis, reigning league MVP.
One NBA, all NBA first team, all defensive first team once, not a defensive player of the year, not a rebounding leader.
Giannis's rookie card is more valuable than KG's rookie card at this particular moment in time. The reason why I say that is because Giannis is known globally. Giannis came from Greece. Everywhere Giannis goes, and Bucks fans knows this. For those who don't, everywhere Giannis goes after each game, majority of the games, he has a crowd waiting for him, and that crowd is basically folks who came from Greece or has Greek ties, and he takes pictures with them, chants with them. They sing their national anthem. This is after a game, and it's been known especially in New York. Man, when you have that global recognition and you're a phenom and your work ethic is on par with KG's, I may have to go with the value of the card.
Yep.
And I'm going with Giannis. I would take Giannis's rookie card. I'm not saying that just because, Bucks fan or what have you. I'm looking at the value of that card and the hopes that Giannis gets a championship ring like KG did.
Yep.
Even more so than what KG did. Keep in mind, KG obviously left. He got traded, from the T-Wolves to the Celtics, joined up with Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, another former Buck.
Yep.
And they became the big three. Giannis is doing it the way where he's like, man, damn all that. I'm trying to get this ring right here, right now with the Milwaukee Bucks. And the franchise is on my shoulders. I'm taking that Giannis card, man.
First thing, Garnett was traded, so he didn't do the LeBron thing. He was traded to Boston, so he wasn't free agent. When you think about it, Kevin Garnett, Giannis is trying to get to that, what Kevin Garnett is, that all around. He fills the stat sheet every night because Garnett, who played in the West too, struggled a lot and then finally got over the hump where they made it to the Western Conference Finals, and then they got blew out by the Lakers. From a talent standpoint, taking the trading card out just for a second, I would take KG over Giannis due to his all-around game because he can score, he can shoot, he can rebound, pass, steals. Obviously, with the defensive teams, he had the dog in him.
Yeah, he did.
So if you went to a game, for those of you who've never seen Kevin Garnett live in person,
oh man, he was awesome. He was
a lot of people cringed to just do the amount of cussing he would do. But he was just hyping himself up and hyping his team up. And I never watched a game where you saw him where he didn't have the energy level. He brought it every night.
He had a motor on him. Yeah.
Say again, Jay?
He had a motor on him.
Yes.
He had a motor. I mean, he brought it every single night, like you said.
And that's where, with this trade scenario, is very interesting because I see Giannis ultimately becoming KG and surpassing KG. From a trading cards perspective, I have to agree with you from a value standpoint, just due to Giannis being the global icon. I think it's closer than you may think as far as value, possibly, just due to KG's career. But ultimately, I would also take Giannis in this trade scenario. So if you presented it to me, I would say I'm not taking KG from a card perspective. Give me Giannis.
Well, I would say this too, to your point, though, about KG, the cussing, people may cringe or what have you. Just the perception that people have of KG versus that of even Giannis. I mean, let's think about this, man. Giannis, a kid who'd never been to America, comes over, and his work ethic alone, just constantly in the gym, constantly wanting to get better, brings his family over, it is a story that is actually at this point in time is going to be shot. My understanding is that Disney has a contract for his story, and they're actually going to do a film on his story right now.
Wow.
Not only that, but you're looking at Nike just releasing his first shoe. And my understanding is he's like the first international player to for Nike to release a shoe of this magnitude and everything. And so listen, man, I'm taking Giannis rookie card just because of the value itself and the trajectory that card will have. The story's not over.
Nope. And if he does anything close to what KG put up from the milestones and everything that I read off earlier, it'll be insane. But yeah, I wanted to take KG because I'm a real big fan of KG, but in this scenario, from a value perspective, I'm not getting ripped off.
And I almost want to say this. Listen, if Giannis were to retire right now, I can almost see Giannis in the Hall of Fame right now. This is the basketball Hall of Fame. The reason why I said that MVP already. He was a most improved player.
See, if he made it to the NBA championship finals, then I agree with you. But since he hasn't done that yet, I can't give it to him yet.
Okay.
So,
thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.